into everything. And I think that the best thing for me personally to do is just kind of like breathe and go, okay, this is the situation now, we got to move on from it. And when it comes to like the actual like fight and getting ready for the fight and the day of and stuff like that, I keep it kind of simple. Like after weigh-ins, I'll kind of refuel, rehydrate. I'll go do like ceremonial weigh-ins if they have that. Me and my girl have been going to this Japanese barbecue place that opened in the apartment and taking out there. And then I come home and Fury fights are usually on Sunday, which means Saturday night, the day before the fight, usually their UFC fights on. So I'll come home and lay in bed or on the couch and eat and watch fights and chill and kind of just be to myself for a while, and same kind of thing, wake up the next morning, kind of be to myself, go to the venue, and just try and just kind of get mentally prepared for a fight, right. Just kind of accept what's going to happen, any kind of nerves, anxiety that come with it, kind of sit with them, absorb it, kind of embrace it. And then from there, it's a matter of when we get to the venue, as soon as we get there, I like to hit some pads with my coach. And then from there, I just kind of keep moving, keep getting warm, get wrapped up, and just get ready to fight.
That's awesome. Now, I have heard that, you're getting paid to not only make weight, but hit the fight as well. So, and I have heard there are some fighters that after they make weight, then that's when they'll have like kind of a cheat meal, which in all honesty doesn't quite make sense because you still have to fight afterwards, and you don't want to really be carrying all that heaviness with you. Do you subscribe to that and then wait for your meal after the fight, or kind of where do you kind of go into that?
I try really hard to be super disciplined and good between weigh-ins and the fight, but I always give myself some kind of treat in there somewhere. Because the hardest part of fighting is making weight. That's what we get paid to do. If you could just go fight, that'd be awesome. But you got to make the weight and everything else. So I always give myself a little treat. I try not to go overboard, and I try to keep it because I've done that. And you fight and you feel heavy and bogged down. That's never a good feeling. Even if just during training camp, if I decide, I'm gonna have a cheat day today or whatever, and I'll eat a bunch of junk food one night or a giant meal and I go train the next day, you just feel heavy and sluggish and slow. So I try really, really hard after weigh-ins and before the fight to eat smart, and fuel my body and not just kind of cater to that urge of that mouth pleasure of I want good food. I want ice cream or chips or whatever. I try and stick to rice and meats and just kind of putting the things back in my body that I haven't had, the past week, trying to make weight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
But then after the fight, I go ham. I'll eat everything in front of me, whatever it is. We'll hit up 2 or 3 different spots after the fight to just eat everything I want to eat. And then I always wake up the next day feeling terrible, but it's worth it every time.
Oh, of course. I mean, you're celebrating not only, like you said, that you made weight and you made it to the fight, but you're celebrating being in that cage or in that ring because, win or lose, you're doing something that a lot of people, especially that were in that crowd or watching, are never going to do in their entire life, or most people in general are never going to do in their entire life. So celebrating that is, just being there in general and making it that far is a victory.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't understand, people love to trash talk fighters and everyone's commenting something online. It's even guys that I don't really particularly care for that I know of who fight and stuff like that, and guys who have styles I don't like and things. You have to appreciate somebody who's willing to get in a cage, basically in your underwear, in front of you're fighting for Fury. It's packed. It's a bunch of people there. It's on Fight Pass. And you are in there with another man who's trying to do physical harm to you. It's quite a daunting kind of task to undertake sometimes. So you have to respect anybody who is willing to do that,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I'm going to talk about there. First off, I need to make it down to a Fury fight for sure because I'm up in the DFW area and I have no reason whatsoever other than I just haven't done it to make it down to a Fury fight. So I will definitely put that on my list for this year.
It's a great show. Great
Oh, I've
show.
heard. And yeah, I've talked to multiple people on here, and then Mike Jackson I've had on here, and he does phenomenal photography down there. Yeah, there's no reason I haven't been down there other than I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
But
I think there is a Fury event in Dallas, February
what?
28th or something, or 4th. I
I
think
like
so.
everything you said. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
think
gonna.
they've got. I know because one of my buddies, Aaron Phillips, is the main event, and it's
Okay.
February 20 something, but it's on a Friday, I believe, or 22nd maybe.
Good.
But it's up in Dallas, and so if you
Well,
Instagram
all right.
Fury or
Let's
whatever, I'm
see.
sure you can find it, and they have one up there.
Schedule. Hold on. That's Q2. Let's click at Q1 here. You are correct. February 23rd in Dallas, Texas. Well,
There
I
you
know what I'm
go.
doing.
There you
Perfect.
go.
Well, then
Yeah,
that
it's a great.
that
It really has become like I think the best regional promotion in the country and one of the bigger feeders to the UFC, and they've got some really good talent. And it's a good production.
Oh, I'm at. Yeah, I can't. Now I'm going to find out where they're fighting because I definitely got to check this out.
Yeah,
But the other thing I was wanting to mention was that you were talking about, obviously the keyboard warriors or the people that want to just talk shit when it comes to fighters. And I'm a big pro wrestling fan as well. People who know this from the podcast or just life in general. And that scene on the keyboard warriors is almost worse than the actual MMA fighters because we have, like you said, you're basically going out there in your underwear in front of sometimes, 15, 20, up to 20,000 people. And, people are like, oh, he must not have been hitting the gym at all. What is he eating? And I'm like, motherfuckers, have you looked in the mirror, like, in a long
yeah,
time? Because
exactly. I
don't
think
ever
people
talk
like.
about what other people do.
I think people like to shit on pro wrestling a little more because it's more performative.
Oh, of course.
It's legit. Those guys are tough and they're athletes and they're taking a beating, but they're more performers. It's more of a performance than it is like combat athletes that are fighting, and I think that people just love to, people always think that they can fight better than they can anyway. And then they just love to shit on people who actually do it. I'm not super into pro wrestling. I never have been. Just didn't grow up around it. I know I know people who do it kind of like a local amateur kind of level. And not my thing, but it looks hard. It doesn't look like it's a cakewalk. Like it looks like it takes some work,
Yeah.
like it's not easy.
No, it's not at all. I mean, there's really great promotions down by you. I know Wrestle Rave is a newer one. They're doing really good things. Booker T obviously has Reality of Wrestling, which is his school, and also a great promotion down there. I think they're probably, especially now that we're looking at the whole landscape of when people think MMA, they think UFC. When people think pro wrestling, they think WWE. And now they're both owned by the same company. And
Yeah.
I believe we're for sure going to see far more bleed over and transitions when it comes to that. And I am wholeheartedly in agreement that it should be happening on a lower level, regional level as well, because of the fact that there are so many huge personalities when it does come to the world of MMA, on whether it be the regional or the UFC or Bellator or One or PFL or whoever it is. There's huge personalities when it does come to that, and I think I'm not saying they need to have wrestling matches, but they could come in, cut a promo, throw somebody or get somebody in a submission, and it really kind of draws people in, and then you're also getting that cross feed over from the other one. It's like, oh, I don't know who this guy is or this girl. Let me go check them out, and all of a sudden you've got a new MMA fan, or the other way around. It's like, we all know what pro wrestling is, but like you said, that shit doesn't look easy, and it's not.
No.
So, being a fan of that and, going to it and respecting that is, it's basically athletic playing, or not playing, but like a play, basically.
It's like athletic theater almost.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really is. And also share with the personalities. I feel like that wrestling kind of really plays into big personalities and stuff a little better than MMA does.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of all about like building characters and these personas, and you have the heel and you have, the good guy and this and that. And MMA there are a lot of personalities in MMA, but a lot of them I don't think would transition. There are some that would do way better in wrestling than others, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that Conor McGregor finally decides that he wants to do something with WWE, because not that he needs the money or any more exposure, but that dude's personality is just, first off, over the top and just made for pro wrestling. And I think he was a pro wrestling fan to begin with, so the fact that nobody has genuinely made this happen is kind of shocking to me.
You know what? I never even thought about that or realized that. He hasn't any kind of pro wrestling stuff. And it does seem, especially for fighters, I know some fighters have done it, and I'm sure there are fighters that will do it in the future. It does. I know I've seen some fighters transition from like UFC and then take their name and go into the pro wrestling realm. Maybe it's just like a one-off deal here and there, to kind of, another payday and make more fans and just get involved in something else. I'm surprised he hasn't done a venture like that before.
I do wonder if it is, since he is technically still in a contract for UFC, even though he hadn't fought has he fought since the pandemic? That's a great, maybe once or twice. Anyway, either way, like, I wonder if it's the contractual situation when it comes to the UFC, and they're, Dana's not the biggest fan of pro wrestling. Obviously, he respects it and everything, but you're not going to see Dana White on a WWE show. But
no.
A lot of those, we had Brock come over. Brock did great. Punk came over. CM Punk came over. Didn't do the best, but he drew people to watching it. I mean, what Matt Riddle's done afterwards, what Tom Lawler has done afterwards, like, it's just, there's so many that, and Ronda Rousey, obviously. So there's going to be more coming over, and I imagine there are so many pro wrestlers that I think if they had either decided to go down that path as opposed to the pro wrestling path, they probably could have had a great career. I mean, Kurt Angle, if he would have gone from winning the Olympics and then started training for MMA, if MMA was at the level that it is now, he probably would have done phenomenal in MMA. But he just, he went into pro wrestling, and obviously that went very well for him, minus the whole breaking the neck multiple times after that situation. But he obviously has a legendary career, so,
Yeah. No, for sure. I know, like, Brock Lesnar too is a really good wrestler. He did both.
Yeah. Yeah, he not only started in pro wrestling and then went over to UFC and then back. Like, if it wasn't for that tuberculosis, then he would have probably had a longer MMA career.
Yeah.
Well, so, speaking of CM Punk, someone who also does commentary when it comes to combat fighting, you do commentary as well. How did that kind of start, and then what kind of preparation do you do, like, for an upcoming card?
Yeah, actually, I'm commentating for a card this weekend.
Hey.
Yeah, I commentate with my head coach, Crew Bob, for Texas Muay Thai Championships. It's a promotion run by Bobby Peak and Jonathan Harris. They've really done a great job growing the sport. Because whenever I came up in Muay Thai as an amateur, there was no Muay Thai in Texas. Like, I had to travel to Oklahoma, Iowa, and stuff like that to fight. Now I built a surgeon here. Honestly, when it comes to preparation, I'm doing commentary with Crew Bob, who's like, he's my head coach, also like a dad and like a best friend and stuff like that. So it's really, really easy to talk about fights because we do it all the time, every day. And we both love Muay Thai. So when it comes to commentating, it felt really natural from the jump to work together commentating, because we just sit there and talk about fights and banter back and forth and tell what we're seeing and give our feedback. And It's a lot of fun. He commentated for